Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today I'm going to be revisiting some previous book hauls to try and answer the question, do I read the books I haul? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books. And recently I've been thinking about book hauls, and I've been having a lot of them lately, but in the early days of my channel I wasn't buying books, so book hauls were few and far between. But I thought we would look back today at some of the oldest book hauls that I've had on my channel to see if, since I've been on BookTube, have I been reading the books that I haul? Good question. The first two hauls that I ever had on BookTube, and the only two hauls of 2021, were my birthday book haul in June and my Christmas book haul in December. I thought I would also, because there weren't that many books on those hauls, I thought I would also look at the first book haul of 2022. Unfortunately, in 2022, I think BookTube started to work its magic on me and started to make me have serious FOMO about books and start buying books again. Really hasn't helped the giant TBR, but how much has it hindered it? So I'm looking at three old book hauls today. As I've said, June 2021, December 2021 and January 2022. In those hauls we're going to look at what I hauled and whether I read it. Hopefully by the end of the video we will have, let's hope, a very short list of books that I do need to prioritise. Here we go. We'll start with June 2021. If I can, I'm going to post a clip up here of me book hauling stuff, only a couple of months into my time on BookTube, so it was definitely early days and I was still quite shy in front of the camera. In that June book haul I actually hauled 10 books, and this was for my birthday. These were all gifts. And those 10 books, we had 2 books by Mary Westmacott, 1 book by Sophie Hannah that I chose myself, 1 book by Nikki French. We had Dear Reader and Bookworm by Kathy Rensenbrink and Lucy Mangan respectively. We know that those were 2 of my absolute top favourite books of 2021, and I will link below the end of the year wrap up because both of those made my top 10 and they're both books about books. I also hauled a set of 4 Daphne du Maurier books, and I've enjoyed all of those so far, particularly Rebecca. I really enjoyed My Cousin Rachel as well, and I really enjoyed reading Jamaica Inn with my friends for FOMO Book Club. In amongst that haul, there is actually only 1 book that I have not yet read. I've read 9 out of 10, and the book that is remaining I've forgotten to get off my shelf because my Daphne du Maurier collection lives downstairs, and that is Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier. Yes, this is the only book from that book haul that I have not yet read, and I do have plans to read this. It's already a priority for me, and I'm going to be reading this with a lovely group of friends from the Book Waffle group. We're going to be reading this in September together, and that is kind of covered. So that was book haul number 1. Book haul number 2 in December 2021, really restrained book haul. Despite it being Christmas, I actually only had 5 books as Christmas gifts that year. I was being very selective. I immediately read on Christmas Day The Invisible Host. Can't remember the authors' names, but I'll be showing the book here. I had heard talk that Agatha Christie may have plagiarised this for And Then There Were None. Having read it on Christmas Day, I would say that's absolute rubbish. I doubt Agatha Christie even read this. There are certain similarities, certainly, but they're very different books. Still enjoyed reading it though. I also hauled Murder in the Crooked House by Soji Shimada, and I read that earlier this year, I believe. Possibly the end of last year, but I didn't really love Murder in the Crooked House, which was a shame. I thought this was a good locked room mystery initially, but the solution, as sometimes happens with locked room mysteries, was a little bit too far-fetched for me, but nonetheless I have read it. I've also read Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro that was hauled for that Christmas, and this was a great book. Really enjoyed it, and I am definitely carrying on reading as many Ishiguro as possible. And the other book in that haul that I have read was The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers by Jen Campbell, and I read this straight away in the January. Brilliant, brilliant book. Highly recommend it. This is basically retellings of different fairy tales from around the world. I love the spin that Jen put on the different stories, and this was an absolutely great one. So there were 5 books hauled. I've mentioned 4 of them, and there's one left that I haven't read, which was a Christmas gift from my mum, and that was Murder Isn't Easy, The Forensics of Agatha Christie. So I have now had this one for 18 months and not read it yet. It's appeared on several TBRs, and this is a non-fiction, which might explain why I haven't got to it so quickly. It does take me a bit longer to get to non-fiction, but I really would like to read this, so hopefully by the end of this year The Forensics of Agatha Christie will have been read by me. So that was 4 out of 5 on that book haul. So far a really good rate of only 1 left over from each book haul. And finally, we're going to take a look at January 2022, where I hauled 7 books. And the first one that I hauled, I read instantly. That was The Unheard by Nikki French. Really love that book, and I do have an individual review of that if you want to check it out. I will link that one below. I also hauled several Anne of Green Gables books in this one. I bought myself Anne of Avonlea, which I actually had to buy myself a second copy of because this one had missing pages that I showed in this video. I also had my mum on high alert looking out for Anne of Green Gables books in charity shops, and she ended up finding 3 more. So there were 4 Anne of Green Gables books in this haul, and they were Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island, Anne of Windy Willows and Anne of Ingleside, and I read all of those last year as part of the Anne Along that was hosted by Emily from Novelle Novels. So I have now read the entire Anne series, and those were books that I hauled for a very specific reason. So there were 2 books out of the 7 that I have not yet got to, and the first one I really can't understand why I haven't got to this actually, because my mum bought me this in the January. It's such a beautiful sprayed edge copy of The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, and this again has a tie-in to Agatha Christie. It's meant to be a different version of the story of Agatha Christie's disappearance, but I believe this is told by the woman who was having an affair with Agatha Christie's husband, but obviously this is all a fictionalised version. So yeah, really, really beautiful copy. Unsure why I've not yet read this in like nearly 18 months, so I will prioritise this and maybe even read this one this month. It certainly would be a good summer read, I think. So yeah, prioritising The Christie Affair ASAP. The other one was a kind book swap that I did with Emily from Novelle Novels, and Emily sent me The Other Woman by Sandy Jones, which was a thriller that she had enjoyed that year, I believe, and I swapped her for a contemporary book that I had enjoyed the previous year, which I think she has read. So shamefully I didn't ever get to this. I think this is a domestic thriller involving a mother-in-law who won't let go of her son. So yeah, interested to get to that one, but yeah, I just haven't got round to this one, and maybe I will read this over the summer as well, because I always like a good twisty psychological thriller in the summertime, so still got that one to go. My grand total of books that were hauled across these 3 hauls was 22 books, and I'm really impressed looking back actually that I have actually read 18 out of 22 of the books. That's certainly a better ratio than the books I've had for years and years that are languishing in the old TBR tin. Certainly a better rate than I've probably had before, and I've also probably had since these hauls. So I've got 4 books still to read. As I've said, Frenchman's Creek I am reading in September, and these 3 I'm going to put on a priority TBR and hopefully finish by the end of this year. Hopefully all of them over the summer actually, because they all sound appealing at the moment. I suppose if I don't get to Murder Isn't Easy, it's likely to be a pick for non-fiction November. So yeah, I think that's quite good. I think I probably haven't done as well on the next few book hauls that I had on BookTube. If you would like to see me revisit any more book hauls from last year, do let me know, because I did have quite a few last year. I think this video probably gives too positive a view of do I read the books that I haul, but that is something we can find out at a later time because I have been quite good on these 3 book hauls so far. Do let me know in the comments, how quickly do you generally read the books that you haul? Are you a person who buys a book and reads it immediately? Or does a book sit on your shelf for a little while until you get in the mood for it? I would love to hear from you, and I always like to hear everyone's different perspectives on reading. So do let me know. If you've enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like. Please do consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will hope very much to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.